This is Jaden's Videos, and today I am bringing you the first build video for Fearville 2023 and the Oddville Circus of the Strange. Now, a few disclaimers before we begin. I use build video lightly here because nothing is being built in this video. This video is simply explaining the layout to you and showing you things that have already been built. Now, of course, Fearville this year opens a whopping about 2 weeks earlier than it did last year. It opens on October 12th and goes for a whopping 8 nights in October. So it goes for almost the entire month of October. There's dates on the weekends for Fearville, which is very exciting. It's definitely expanding this year, and there's so much more to offer, which I'll get into in other videos and stuff as Fearville's being constructed. But as of now, this is just about the Oddville Circus of the Strange, which is the haunted attraction coming to Fearville for 2023. Now, it starts October 12th, and I'm just now bringing you a build video in the middle of August. So you're probably like, how in the world are you going to build this entire haunt and this entire event in a month and a half? I'm not. That doesn't mean it's not happening. It means I've been working on this year's haunt since April. Many months ago. Like, what, 4 months ago now? I've been working on it since April. I just haven't made any build videos because I was originally going to go with the same type of vibe I did last year where I do major things in the builds. And I kind of still am doing that. The videos this year are less of build videos and more of vlog videos. A lot like what Hauntformer is doing because he is contributing to Fearville as well by doing the hayride there, which is Port Chum. So it's going to be very vlog-like, but mine are more of a vlog fashion than his. Basically, each day that I go to work on the haunt and Fearville in general, I'll be vlogging it and showing progress as it's done throughout the day, and it's just a more laid-back, fun way of showing the event coming together. Let me know if you guys like that. But basically, since up until this point, I've just been working on props and walls for the haunt, I haven't done the vlog style because I want that to be more so setting up the haunt. However, haunt setup begins next week because it opens in only a month and a half, so I have a month and a half to set it up. I've had months to make stuff for it and all of that, but I have a month and a half to set it up, and it starts next week. The setup starts. So before the setup starts, just so you guys are in the know and know what's going on, so I don't just start putting stuff up and you're like, what in the world is this? I thought I'd make a video, which I originally wasn't going to make. I was just going to discuss it when it starts going up, but I'm going to make a video showing you some of the things that have already been done and explaining the layout of this year's haunt to you so that you understand what's happening when you're hit with the haunt build videos. Since I've waited until August, when the event is only a month and a half away from starting, you're going to be getting haunt videos often. You're going to be getting them probably once a week is when a haunt build video is going to come out now, because we are getting so close to the Halloween season that they're going to be being pumped out frequently. So I'm happy that I waited this long to start it, because now they will be very consistent, because the haunt is going to be built and it's going to be built fast to open in only a month and a half. All of that out of the way. Fearville this year, of course, go to Mac's channel if you want to see the progress of Port Chum, because I will not be covering that extensively on this channel, though Fearville is still my event, so I will cover it some during the haunt vlogs. I'll go over and check on him throughout the day during the vlogs and stuff like that. But I'm not going to be covering it in detail. I'm mostly going to be covering the things that I primarily am focused on, which is the main area of the event as a whole, the scare zone this year, which I've kind of teased a little bit, but I haven't talked about too much, which is AI Apocalypse, and of course, the haunt for this year, which is, I'm doing a circus theme, the Oddville Circus of the Strange, which I've talked about a lot. I've done a trailer for. I just haven't shown you guys the layout yet, or the props I made. The props I made are going to come in this later half of the video, but right now we're going to talk about the layout, and I'm going to try to keep it as speedy and simple as possible. Of course, when haunts start going up, a lot changes. And I'm going to try to have less changes this year because they add on extra time, but I'm pretty positive there's going to still be things that change once the haunt starts getting constructed, because there always are changes, because you think of things that could work better, or you realize that some things just don't work as well. There's always changes in haunts when they start getting put up. And so there will be changes here. I'm just hoping most of this is going to stay about the same. Now, the haunt this year This is the blueprints, as you can see, and I might need to turn down the brightness a little bit so you can see it a little bit better, but for the most part you can see it. Now there's actually two blueprints, there's two sides to this, and the reason for that is because the haunt this year is in a smaller tent than last year. Last year it was in a 30 by 50 foot tent. This year it is in a 20 by 40 foot tent. Not too much smaller, but a little bit smaller. However, there could possibly be, also there might not be, it depends on the length once I get the main tent set up. There could be a second tent behind it, which is right here, which is going to add a couple of extra rooms. Now that tent is a perfect square tent. It's not drawn to a perfect square here just because it doesn't really matter for the purpose of just seeing how things are going to go. It's a perfect square tent that's a 20 by 20, so it's not going to be very big. It's just going to add on extra rooms and a backstage if I need it. However, just because the haunt space is smaller this year doesn't mean the haunt is going to be shorter. Because last year I had a lot of empty space that I didn't use that I used instead for backstage. Of course, there's still going to be actor passageways and stuff, but for the most part, the backstage area is going to be in a separate section, then interfering with the haunt's space itself. So I have more space to use. I also have a lot more twists and turns this year, which will hopefully increase the length to about 5 minutes, which is the average length for a haunt, so I think that's good. If it's not, maybe 3.5 minutes. Last year was about 2 minutes to 2.5 minutes, so it's definitely longer this year, but it's about the same amount of work because though it's longer, it is less space. Basically, that's how it's going, and I'm also going to be working on it more consistently this year as compared to last year where I didn't really start until September. I'm starting next week, and I'm hoping to get a lot done. So, all of that out of the way, there are two layouts in the event that I don't use the second tent. However, I'm not going to talk about this other layout. The other layout is essentially the same. It just, this layout adds a transition that needs to go between the two tents. And so I'm not going to talk about that other one just because that's a very rare case scenario that's going to happen. I'm going to talk about this main one. So there's quite a few rooms. It's kind of hard to see, and I don't have the best handwriting, but I will give you as good of a look at it as I can. Guests enter right here, same area as last year. The beginning still has the same type of thing. This is the concessions room, but I don't even know if it's going to be a concessions room. It's just the entrance room. I plan to have Waving Wally in there and some other things that you would see, like a welcome sign to the circus or something. So that is what that is. That is the concession room. You then turn the same direction that you did last year down a hallway. However, of course, last year was an asylum, so this is going to look drastically different even if it's going the same direction at the beginning. This hallway, the hallways in the haunt, I'm not sure what's going to go in which hallway yet because a lot of the prop placement comes down to what looks best when I put it there. So I don't know what's going to go in which hallway yet, but a lot of the hallways are going to be decorated with signs and stuff on the walls advertising the circus, clown signs, clown pictures, and there's going to be probably some animatronics in some of the hallways. I'm not using a ton of animatronics because I do not believe that haunt should have a ton of animatronics. I feel like it needs to be in moderation, but there's going to be actors. I'm thinking of having a drop portrait in one of these hallways, which I think is going to be pretty cool, so that's the plan with that. Next up, you have the next room here. It kind of curves, you can see it. It goes into the showroom. Now, I'm not entirely sure. This is the one room that I'm not entirely sure what it's going to be like yet. Because originally my plan was to have 3 different stages with curtains and have maybe an animatronic on one and an actor on another. I don't think I'm going to do that now. I might just have one stage and a big spectacle thing going on in that stage. That is less of a scare room and more of a showroom, as the name suggests. So there's not going to be a jump scare in there from an actor, but more of like a display scary thing going on the stage because every circus needs some kind of showroom like that. Once you exit the showroom, at the top of it there, you can see that, you head into the hallway, which the hallway is another hallway. But this hallway goes this way, and it leads out of the main tent. There is a brief outdoor section, which in that outdoor section is where the backstage is. So you can see that right there. But there is an outdoor transition. So basically what that's going to be, it's going to have freak show banners on either side to still make a path, but they're just going to be banners on either side instead of walls, and it's going to be more like the outdoor section of a carnival where it would transition into another carnival tent. So I'll probably have the Heckles animatronic out there or something, selling his balloons or something like that. Then you go into the second tent, which I'm on the fence about. The layout's going to stay the same no matter what, probably, except I'm thinking of cutting out this area and having that be a backstage area, just because this part of the tent is perfectly fine to limit the space on because it's not the main tent, and just having it go around there and go up and go down. I'm thinking that that's probably what's going to happen because right here I have 4 different pathways. More than likely that is not how it's going to be. It's probably going to go up and down and stuff like that. So you have that tent and it's going to go through there. it says freak show, but I don't know if that's going to be the freak show yet. There is going to be a freak show section of the circus where the freaks are displayed. However, I don't know if that's going to be that tent or not yet, because the freak show section isn't going to be the biggest section. I don't have as many props and actors for that area. And so this next area that I'm going to get into could be swapped with the freak show, and the freak show could go down here and this could go down there. Either way, the layout's going to stay the same. It's just going to be what's in it is going to change a little bit. But the freak show section essentially will have, I have a mask that an actor's going to wear with a mutant guy. There's going to be other weird oddity type things. Probably other actors that are freaks. Most of it's going to be actor oriented. It'll probably make a freak prop, something like that. It's not going to have a lot in it, but that's why I'm thinking of switching it to this area that has a little less space. Time will tell. That's one thing that's going to happen when this haunt starts getting put up. I'll figure that out. The other outdoor transition goes back into the main tent. Now this is utilizing the other side of the tent because you go up and around and a little bit out that way. Now you have a whole other side of the tent to utilize. And that is the other part of the haunt, which could be switched with the freak show, as in what goes in it could go up here, and then what goes in the freak show could go down there. Not sure yet. But as of how it stands, this is the backstage, which is personally the part of the haunt I'm most excited for. Not backstage as in backstage for the haunt, backstage for the circus. And so it's a part of the haunt designed to look like the backstage of the circus show. So this is where they'd throw all the junk and old props and scenery pieces from the circus. And that is why I'm so excited for this scene, because I love set dressing and I love set decorating and set designing and I love all of that stuff. Absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite parts about haunting. And so having a room or an area of the haunt that has a bunch of old circus junk has so much potential to make some really cool set decorating stuff. And so I'm excited for that. There's not a lot of set pieces I have to build for this year's haunt. There's a few. There's a ticket booth and stuff like that. I've already made that. I still have to put a sign on the ticket booth. You'll see that momentarily. I've already made that. There's not a whole lot more set things I actually need to build. Most of what needs to be done now is just putting the haunt up and decorating it. Most of the things have already been built and are ready to put into the haunt, besides a few other things that aren't going to take much time. With that out of the way, yeah, this is going to, it's got a hallway here. I'm not really sure if this is how this layout's going to go here. This is one of the areas that I think is going to change, because I might take out this room and combine it with these. That is the makeup / costumes room, so guests would like weave through like circus clown costumes and stuff. Not sure if that's going to stay there or if that's just going to be intertwined with this. This area is kind of up in the air. It's going to be like this, but the way it's laid out, how the paths go, could easily change. There's some hallways and prop rooms, some actor spots there. That doesn't really matter because those could change around. Prop rooms is basically, I'm going to put Monty in there. I'm going to put the Jack in the Box in there from Home Depot. A lot of them are going to be statics, but it's the big circus, old antique stuff that they've just thrown in the back. And this is, like I said, it's going to be one of my favorite things to do for this year's haunt, because it's going to be one of the coolest rooms, or there's like 3 rooms. Some of the coolest rooms to decorate. I'm going to be able to use the webcaster gun and put some cobwebs on all the stuff, make it look old. Actually, here's an idea of the type of vibe to expect in those rooms. Stuff like this, you know, just the old-timey circus stuff just kind of thrown back there, this broken down jolly chimp here. That's the type of vibe to expect from that. Now, the whole haunt, of course, continues with the same vibe. Now, the whole haunt, of course, continues with the same vibe and theme throughout. It is a circus, and like I mentioned very before, but I'm going to reiterate it in case this is the first time you're tuning in this season to hear about the haunt. I'm doing a very specific circus theme. I'm doing a vintage circus. So it's very vaudeville. It's very silent, sad clown, the black and white clowns. It's very vintage, old school, freak show, vaudeville, vintage circus. It's not neon clowns. It's not monster clowns. It's not bright and colorful. It's very subtly creepy. Very excited for this year's haunt, and I'm very excited for Fearville as a whole. But before I end this video, I'm going to show you the props that have been worked on. And it's most of them that have been worked on, because there's not a whole lot more to actually build or paint. It's just putting it all up, and of course there's other things I need to buy for set pieces and stuff, but there's not much more that I need to build specifically for the haunt. So I'm going to show that stuff to you guys, and then I'll meet you back here. Now, I do not take full credit for any of these things you're about to see here. Of course, yes, they are my designs and my ideas for the haunt, and I have contributed to painting some of them, but for the most part, my lead artist for Fearville this year, my good friend Chloe Mastro, did a lot of the art for the walls and the facade, as you're seeing here, for this year's haunt. And she's done a great job, so I'm really thankful for her, because without her, I wouldn't be able to do this and expand the haunt each year, because things need to be deviated up. Of course, I'm still the head person, but things need to be deviated up, the work does, because I can't do it all. So basically, it's not pieced together yet, of course. It's going to be pieced together next week when the haunt starts being set up. But right now, this is the facade for the haunt. Well, part of it. Part of it's also like a circus tent vibe. But this right here is the main entryway that people will walk under. These have yet to be painted. This is the sides, but this is a clown head, and you're going to walk under his mouth. Of course, it's not pieced together yet, but there's the top of the head, and then there is the part that people walk under right there, and then the sides of it still have to be finished. But overall, he looks awesome. Chloe did a great job in this. I also helped her with distressing it and adding some of the, rusted type looks to this guy. But overall, really awesome. It's going to stand about 12 feet tall when it's put together. I love this facade. We're now going to get into possibly one of the most important parts of a haunt, which is the walls. Now, I worked on some of these, Chloe worked on some of these. This was very collaborative, but this is this year's haunt walls. They are circus stripes. I think Chloe's going to go back over them once they're up in the haunt and add some detailing around the bases of them to look like they've been molded. But so far, or they've gotten moldy, but so far there are a lot of them, and they're all looking really cool. We did cool effects on them where you kind of let the brush stop painting halfway through so it looks more worn down, or you go a little more lightly in some parts. There's a lot of walls here, not very many more to do, which usually at this point I still have to do a lot of walls before the haunt starts getting set up, and I usually am still working on walls as the haunt's being set up. This year, a good portion of them are already done. This is one of my favorite things right here. It isn't complete yet, but it's almost complete. This is something I've been working on since April, and this is a ticket booth. Now, real tickets aren't going to be sold here. Real tickets are sold at the front of the event, but this is a cool ticket booth prop for the haunt, which I plan to have the Lucky Bottoms animatronic in here because I feel like that's a cool way to utilize him since he doesn't have feet. I feel like that's going to look really cool. But here it is. It's got a wooden framework here, which is built up and took quite a bit, but it's finally finished being built, and all that needs to be left is there needs to be a ticket sign on top, there needs to be a roof on top, and then some designs painted here, maybe a few more touch-ups, and then it's done. So it should be done very soon. I would also like to put some bars on the windows, or some bars here, because a lot of ticket booths have that, but I don't know if I will yet. As of now, this is the ticket booth. It is almost complete, and it's got some awesome detailing on there that Chloe and I did of some corroded, decayed parts. I really like it. I'm really excited to get the sign on this thing and really bring it to life, which should be done within a couple of days. Now this carousel horse here, obviously we didn't make this. I got this for a very reasonable price for what it is. Now this is a really cool thing. This is going to be like a backstage thing that's in the backstage rooms of the haunt, like where the old junk from the circus is thrown. It's super cool, and it's pretty large. I quite like it. I don't think this is a real carousel horse. It wasn't actually used on a carousel. I think it's a little too small for that, but it looks genuine, and it's really cool. Now, I know Chloe wants to add some nice paint job to it to make it look a little bit older, so once she does that, I think that's going to be really cool, but that's more of a last minute, right before opening, like the week of thing, that's probably going to be done. This sign, another collaborative effort. Chloe did the detailing on this. My mom actually has a machine where she cut out the letters to make them look all nice, and then I painted it. So this is like a freak show sign that you'd see. Usually the freak show posters have like something that says alive or something like that. That's what this is. I love this sign. This thing is so cool. It's just a wooden sign, so it's just going to be screwed into one of the walls behind a freak, or maybe just put by the horse or something like this, like in the back room, like it's junk thrown there, because it does look very old and decayed, which I absolutely love. But this is honestly one of my favorite props for this year's haunt that we've done. It just looks so cool. I hope you guys enjoyed this video explaining what's going on, because last year I know as soon as the haunt builds started, which I started them in October last year, because though I was working on it in August and September, I just didn't upload the first one until October. I hope to actually keep them consistent this year, uploading them when I record them instead of pushing them off and just waiting. I'm going to upload them when I record them and get them out, and they'll probably be done by the beginning of October, because then the event opens. But basically, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, laying out the groundwork, letting you know it's a little late to do a blueprint video, I feel. Usually it would be best to do it before now, but I wasn't even sure if I was going to do it yet, but I decided, hey, the haunt builds start next week. I might as well just lay out the field, let you guys know what's going on, so as you're seeing these videos, you're not all confused at the format I'm doing them in this year, or where things are going, or what the layout even is. You're gonna have a better idea, and you can keep coming back to this video, have a better idea of what the haunt is supposed to look like in the end, so as it's going together, you can actually visualize it coming together. There's only a month and a half until Fearville opens, and there's only a month and a half until October. I am so excited. The Halloween season is starting, and I'm so excited to get into these haunt builds. Again, I'm also going to be covering the other parts of Fearville this year instead of just Fearbrook Asylum, because the event as a whole matters to me, because this is my event, and I love the whole thing, and I want the whole thing to be good. And of course, I'm collaborating with so many talented people on it this year, and Mac doing Port Chum is such a great addition that I'm very, very excited. But of course, I'm going to be covering the event as a whole in the videos this year. It's not just the Oddville Circus of the Strange, so look forward to that. I will be talking about the Scare Zone and all the other stuff as it happens, but I'm not going to make too big of a deal out of it yet, because those are very minimal work stuff that's probably going to be done the first week of October, and then that's that. So I probably won't even get into those until they're being set up. Like the Scare Zone will probably only take a day to set up. The haunt is, of course, the main thing, but the other things I will cover. I definitely will. And I will have many videos coming out of Fearville this year. I didn't have enough last year. I didn't get enough video footage of the stuff to release afterwards. I had 2 haunt videos and then 1 video of opening weekend, and that was it. I want some videos of the whole event this year and the whole thing as a whole in a package, and maybe even videos walking you through the process each night, especially the opening night process, walking you through and taking you guys along, because hey, this is what I do. I'm into Halloween, I'm into haunts, that's what the channel's about. Let's show you guys the process. I feel like it's going to be a great season, and I really hope you guys are looking forward to it. Let me know what you think of the Oddville Circus of the Strange in the comments below. Remember to check out Mac's channel for Port Chum and updates on that. And keep checking back here, because Fearville is coming up and builds start next week. I hope you all enjoyed. Remember that here lies Halloween.